Welcome back, everybody. It is another edition of the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And let me give a quick shout out to family. My parents arrived down there yesterday for their annual snowbird trip down, and I'm sure they're probably half in the bag by now. And, I mean, shit, what more could you want when you're old and gray, so to speak? Anyway, we had a good, entertaining Super Bowl. We have the old timer John Mitchell retiring from the Steelers. We'll talk about that a little bit, and certainly we will also get into our very famous, or maybe very infamous, Blitzie Awards, which we do at the end of every year, celebrating the best and in some cases the worst in the Pittsburgh Steelers previous season. We'll be doing that, and I'm sure fitting in some time for many other non-related items probably. Welcome to everybody that is joining us while we are live, and welcome to everyone that will be listening or watching later. Looks like Ian is a little late to the show tonight, which, when you got 48 kids, that happens. So anyway, Ben and Scarps are here, and gentlemen, I hope you are well. And I'm going to just get this thing started right off the bat here. Was it a proper holding call on Mr. Bradbury, Ben Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan Scarpino?
Yes, but I just want to make a point that officiating is not an easy job, and I know it's not. These guys are bigger, faster, stronger than they've ever been. There's a lot of bang plays that happen, but I'm all about consistency, and I would rather officials call everything consistently.
I agree.
Or call nothing consistently, and I think the thing about the call is that they didn't call anything all night. They didn't call anything all night, and I thought there was a more egregious one on Juju earlier in the game on a third down.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I don't expect those guys to get it right, but the one thing that has lacked over the past couple years, and I don't care what the commissioner says, officiating's never been better. I disagree. I think they lack consistency, and again, I don't like the call, but it's holding.
It was. I agree. It was a hold. That's going to get called more often than not, and I do believe, Scarps, that you hit on something that I think is what caught the ire of a lot of people, is the fact that the game had been pretty clean up until that point. Now they did have a couple of little glitches here and there, but they were letting them play, and I think a lot of fans were like, "Oh, come on, man, let's let them kick the field goal." Now the Eagles got a chance to come down and win the game, or who knows, but. So I think your average fan was just robbed of that experience, but you have to call it because, as was mentioned by many of the top NFL people that I was reading the day after, if you're going to call that in the second quarter or the first quarter, then you got to call it there.
Or you should.
You should.
I think back to the AFC Championship game in New England. When Eli Rogers was running, he was going to be he'd beaten the DB behind him, and the guy grabbed him by the jersey and pulled as hard as he could. No flag.
Nothing.
And all I was told when I bitched about that was, you're never going to get that call in the last 2 minutes of that kind of a game. Fuck that. That's bullshit.
That's the basketball thing that drives me freaking insane.
That's fucking bullshit. If it's a penalty, fucking call it.
Right.
Or don't.
Couldn't
be consistent about it one way or the other.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
What Scarp said, and that's the frustrating part about it when you watch it, is that they're so inconsistent. So fucking inconsistent. And to sit there and say, oh, no, that's bullshit. They don't even reverse calls on review that should be reversed because they're trying to stand up for their officials rather than getting the call right.
Yeah. No, and that's part of what irritates the hell out of me too. It's the whole replay system. I get it, Scarps.
Yeah, and like we go back to that NFC Championship game a couple weeks ago where it clearly was not a catch by Devontae Smith, and people were saying, well, the onus should be on the 49ers, and it's just like, okay, I understand that, but the NFL already has sort of a sky judge. They already have an eye in the sky, which leads me to my next point, and this has been on the table for years. It never passes, and I know it's Darth Vader, it's the evil Bill Belichick, but he has said for years that coaches should be able to challenge all plays, okay? And I'm going to tell you this right now. Nick Sirianni is going to challenge that play. But here's the thing. Are they going to get it right? So in between the sky judge and challenge, are they going to say, was that holding? And I think if you even look further, they're going to still call it holding. But the problem is they didn't call shit the whole game.
Right. And to me, that was the perfect storm. That the hold call in that situation.
You can't be lax the entire game, and then call that at the very end, because you've given the players the sense that they're going to get away with that shit because it's a championship game, and they're going to let you play.
Right.
Well, no, they're going to go ahead and call it this time. So I get the frustration from the players and fans. Fans that didn't have a dog in the hunt, didn't have a dog in the fight, still bitching about it. I get it. But the call was correct. It's just they hadn't called a whole bunch of shit earlier that they should have. And I don't have an issue with Belichick's suggestion about being able to challenge any play as long as you only get 2 challenges. Because I am fucking sick of all the goddamn stoppages for review. It's a pain in the ass.
Ben,
absolutely.
I don't. You know what? I don't like that we're agreeing so much off the bat. This is not good.
Don't worry, it's young. The show is young. It's early.
Drinking.
So I agree with you, because if you still only get 2 challenges, you're going to be conscientious of when you use them.
Right.
But also, if you have the sky judge looking for these things that you shouldn't necessarily have to challenge, maybe you keep them even more. So I'm not saying the sky judge has to look for penalties and whatnot, but I'm talking about sort of the clear and obvious ones.
Yeah.
Like that Devontae Smith catch. Like they had every angle of replay that we did, and boom, right away that person could hit the button, buzz the judge. I don't know what year is it, 1995. He's got a pager, he finds a payphone, whatever it is. But like, listen, like we're 2023 now. They can figure out a way to do these things and make it easier on coaches, so that, hey, I only got 2 challenges, but I can challenge anything I want now.
Right.
And I know the guy or whoever upstairs is gonna be doing not right by me, but right by the game, right? Like this isn't like some personal thing. I think that would help, and I think that would improve consistency. But also Goodell, going out there and saying, I don't think officiating's been any better. I mean, what do you want the guy to say? He's the commissioner of the league. He makes millions of dollars a year. He has to defend his product.
Yeah,
I get it.
That's fine. But I mean, he could have acknowledged that it's not perfect.
Yes.
And still said, we know it's not perfect, but we feel that we've made continuous improvements year over year, and that it's getting better, not worse.
Right.
And then dropped it instead of, I think it's just better.
He got defensive.
It's ever been, and I don't know what you're talking about. Problems with it.
So coming up this week, I believe the XFL kicks off, and the only damn reason I am mentioning it is because they are going to allow coaches to challenge any play.
So Hines Ward can challenge whatever play he wants.
Yes, and the only reason I'm interested is because I want to see how it works. I just want to see what they do.
Much slower game.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion, with athletes that are obviously not as good.
Yep.
And it's not going to be as good a product.
Right. I just want to see the procedure. How do they do it? How do they handle it? Is it something that the NFL can look at and go, okay, all right, that's an interesting thing to maybe consider, or say, hey, the hell with it, we're not going to consider.
I'm probably not going to watch it, so you have to tell me how it goes.
Well, I'm going to check the highlights myself. I doubt I'll be tuned in either, but I think it's interesting. We did have a reader email this week, gentlemen. And the question was kind of piggybacking on this issue of that call. And the question really was about, do we as fans, do we prefer a game that is officiated tightly and fairly, or one that is just let them play, but understand that some things are just not going to get called? Ben, where do you fall in on that?
I lean a little more in the direction of some things are not going to get called. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what you need to take out of that is bias to protect certain players. Okay. I realized that Tom Brady was the NFL poster child, but he got an awful lot of calls after the whistle by throwing his hands up in the fucking air and going, what the fuck? And then they throw the flag. Okay. Shit like that has to go.
Yep.
Actually, I saw Ben get a few of those late in his career. To be
he did.
Frank, he got a few of those where he's like, what the hell? And then they throw it.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, if I'm a fan of the other team, I'm pissed. I'm like, that's fucking bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that aspect of it has got to go. They got to call it clean. They got to call it straight. They should be graded on a weekly basis. Those grades should be public, in my opinion. The idea of fining officials to me is ludicrous. Those guys don't get paid enough money.
Got to make them full time if you're going to do that.
Yeah, those guys don't get paid enough money to come out and do officiating to support fining them $5,000 when they fuck up a game.
I don't know if you saw, but Mark Schlereth, because the NFL Films had the angle. Like NFL Films had the angle.
They did,
hold, and it's a clear hold. And Mark Schlereth quote tweeted it. Something like something about missing the hands of the face on the left tackle.
Yeah.
By the left tackle. So is it Josh Sweat or Montez Sweat? Or is it Keith Sweat?
It's Josh Sweat. Yeah, it's Keith Sweat too, but
one of the Sweats got hit. I mean, literally, he had the face mask. So, you gotta know lineman actually defending a defensive line.
Yeah, would have been offsetting penalties.
Yeah, and shit like that does get missed.
Mm-hmm.
But when the ref is right there and can see it and calls it and the call is correct, why are we complaining about it?
Get back to your question. I think regardless of what the outcome is in officiating, somebody's at a bitch, right?
Yeah,
every time.
But my personal preference is that I'd rather see an official call everything consistently.
Exactly.
So you know what? I get it. If there's 20 penalties or 25 penalties in a game, and we've seen some of that. Those,
yes,
I feel like some of those recent will be when Marvin Lewis is still the Bengals coach and Vontez. I remember everything was a penalty, and it got sort of outrageous. But
I mean, part of that is reputation, though. When you get the rep as being that fucking guy, they're looking for a reason to throw the flag on.
Yeah,
Hines Ward, God bless him.
Yeah.
Toward the end of his career, they were like, listen, Hines, we're looking for a reason to. Remember that where there was shit that was clearly offsetting, and they would only flag Hines.
Yeah,
he obviously started it.
And I don't know. I don't give a shit how long the game takes. As we all know, we love this shit. We eat this shit up. Like we don't care. We don't care if it's 50 to 50 at 1:00 game and it's 5:30 into overtime. Like we don't give a shit. Like we're just like, give me more.
We bitch afterwards. But
but in that moment, when an official makes a call like that, when they hadn't made a call like that all game, and I'm going to give credit to Joe Starkey, local Steelers reporter on 93.7 The Fan, and he said we were robbed of a potential moment because it would have given Hurts extra time to go down, kick a field goal, and then we would have gotten to see the second Super Bowl that goes to OT, but the first one with the new rules where both teams, and like at that point you're like,
there was another Super Bowl that went to OT.
Patriots Falcons 28-3.
Oh.
28-3, baby.
And what happened? The Patriots got the ball. They scored a touchdown.
Right down the field.
But in this instance, you're like, all right, Mahomes, they're going to score a touchdown. But then there's the drama of could Hurts tie it up again? Like, it's just like,
right.
And I don't want to play the what if game because I hate playing that. But when you make a call like that, you mess with a lot of things.
I mean, and that's, you could play that what if game throughout the entire game. That's just it. Mm-hmm. What if Bolton's return TD off the fumbles it's not rule of fumble. What if
Hurts just holds on to the ball?
Yeah,
what if that catch that was returned for a touchdown?
Yeah,
that was so close.
It was.
If they had ruled it, I don't know, man.
It was tight.
It was really tight. You know. It was like they didn't want to make a ruling. They wanted to review it, so they just let him play. Mm-hmm. They said nothing, and then they reviewed it, and they were like, yeah, no, he didn't have control. And actually, I think they got that call right, too, but it was
close, and I do appreciate they let it play out. I think that was good because we've seen all too often where they haven't. But
I would also – sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to change direction here a little bit. Scarps, where do you rank – the performance of Patrick Mahomes real quick before we move on to some Steelers stuff?
The Chiefs scored 31 points. The Chiefs offense scored 31 points in 24 minutes. The Steelers on a good day score.
What are you trying to say, Scar?
I'm just saying that.
Why you got to be a dick?
The Steelers towards the end of the season were scoring 29 or 28 to 30 in 2 games combined. Now they won the game; they won both of them. But listen. Mahomes is unbelievable. He is great. I'm not going to sit out there and say he's already the greatest because Tom Brady still exists and I still think there are other quarterbacks that are probably better than Mahomes, but Mahomes is just so goddamn entertaining. He's so smart. I don't know if you saw this, but they were in the wrong formation on that game-winning touchdown. They were in the wrong formation, and he knew they were in the wrong formation. But then Matt Nagy, former Bears coach, who was like, you know what, this head coaching job sucks, but if I can go back to KC with Andy. I don't even know what voice that was, but Matt Nagy was like, we were in the wrong formation, and Mahomes was like, I'm trying to work on a Patrick Mahomes impression, but Patrick Mahomes was like, yeah, I know, but they were playing zero, and I knew exactly, and I'm just like, this dude, not to take anything away from him, he didn't have that monster game with the numbers, but again, 31 points in 24 minutes. It's unbelievable.
Well, no, they had 24 points in 30 minutes, right?
I thought it was 31 points in 24 minutes time of possession.
No, it was 24 points in 30 minutes. And okay. No.
I thought it was
in time of possession. Sure. Okay.
Yes.
Time of possession.
Okay.
Yes. Right. That's fair. Yeah. I'm just looking at the overall clock. They scored 24 points in the second half, and they worked over the Eagles defense. The Eagles defense looked like shit in the second half. I don't know what the hell was going on. That vaunted pass rush, we expected to be the difference.
Yeah, I overplayed that hand.
So did I.
I thought that was going to be the difference. And
I think the thing that Mahomes really deserves credit for was he's playing on a bum ankle. Saw him wincing a handful of times when he's on the field, and he still stayed in there and played well, played at a very, very high level. It's not the greatest performance I've ever seen in a Super Bowl, but
no,
he played at a high level for the entire game with that ankle.
Yeah.
His line kept him clean, yes, but he got the ball out quick.
Zero sacks. Oh my God. I was saying they were going to get that ass, and they didn't even get close to that ass.
They didn't even pressure him. They were lining him up in shotgun most of the game, and he just kept. It's like, man, boom.
Well,
3 seconds or less. Out comes the ball.
It's funny in the what if game. You wonder if that's a conference championship game, a divisional game. He doesn't have all that time at halftime. And while I don't think we've seen confirmation. I have to believe he got a shot at halftime.
Toradol?
Oh,
probably.
Definitely.
Hey, while we're talking about officiating and all of that, the formation that the Eagles use on 4th down and short that currently is legal. That currently is legal. I have to believe the league is going to look at that.
I think so too.
For a couple of reasons this
year.
They
said today they were. There's reports that they're already talking about that. They're called it the tush push or whatever.
Yeah. Where they get they line up 2 guards basically. I mean, 2 fucking tight ends behind the quarterback, and they both jam their shoulder pads into his ass and push him forward. And Hurts is a bigger quarterback. He's a thicker guy. He's a power.
Oh yeah, he's big.
He's a power lifter as a hobby.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But as Cam Hayward pointed out the other day in his podcast, he's like, sooner or later, what's going to happen is somebody's going to smack Hurts in the face when he comes over that line because you want him to stop running that shit.
Right.
And they're going to spear him right in the face.
Yep.
And he's going to get injured.
You're going to get bent back, something like that.
Yeah. Yep. You've got the one thing where it's basically a rugby play that they're pulling, and yes, it gives the offense an advantage, but it's dangerous as well.
Yeah.
Where a quarterback is going to get hurt. It is going to happen. Yeah, I think to me, that's why I look at it. It isn't just about the fact that, this really gives one side an unfair advantage. It's also that, like I said, at some point, that guy's getting smacked. Either a safety or a linebacker is going to come up over the top and just. And that's going to be the end of it. It'll be a 15-yard penalty, but they won't run it again.
Yep. I think it gets heavily looked at. I don't know if they'll have enough to what do they got to have, like a 24 out of 32 to vote something in or out on that. But to me, it's like a rugby scrum. It's just, I don't know how the defense had a chance. I mean, when you've got a big quarterback, you got an all-pro at center. And then you got these big men pushing them forward. I mean, I don't care who you got. You can have Casey Hampton lined up across from him. I don't know that he's going to be able to do much. But it was a good point. Jen brought up the field conditions too. The field was terrible. Embarrassment.
The field had been resodded, and it was still wet when they moved it in. I don't know if people are familiar with the field at the Cardinal Stadium.
They actually can slide it out.
Yeah, they roll the grass out into the parking lot and grow grass year round, and then roll it in there when.
That's not the only grass that's in the parking lot.
I need to get my board out so I can do a rim shot.
Probably. So yeah, they had resodded the field between the hashes, and to try and make it better, and they made it worse.
It was just bad, but entertaining game, and that's really all you can want from a Super Bowl when your team's not in it, and that was the case. But
I was going to point one thing out real quickly.
Yeah,
the maneuver we just talked about, the Eagles pulling. Yeah, the Steelers use it.
Yeah, they finally got around to it a little bit.
The Steelers use it all the time with Najee. They just have another guy. They have another guy or two come around behind Najee and push forward.
Miles Boykin. They used Boykin a little bit too.
Yeah, they used Boykin, and they used Connor Hayward. They used a number of people in that role, and we got some first downs out of it. So
replacing divots during commercials. My divots I have to replace after every swing on the golf course. So
I'm pretty much a disgrace.
Yeah, and I'm not talking good divots either. Anyway, the Steelers this week, it was announced that John Mitchell was retiring. He has been with the team for 29 years. And the last few years he's been, I would almost call him like an emeritus type, really not a position coach anymore. Assistant head coach was the title. Scarps, you're much more familiar with Coach Mitchell than us. What does this mean for the Steelers? Doesn't mean anything at all, but what does it mean in your opinion?
I mean, Mitch is a character. He has big presence, jovial, and he is a very, very important piece to not only the Steelers but for black football players in the SEC. And I say that because he was the first black player to play at Alabama. It's a big deal.
I forget that. I knew that and I forget it.
It's a big deal. And I got a couple Mitch stories if you don't mind me sharing, but leading off of that is one time Mitch did a long interview with Showtime, and it was about that very subject, segregation among Southern colleges. So Mitch was at Eastern Arizona Junior College. Yes. So Eastern Arizona Junior College. And there was some event out there, and John McKay, who was the coach at USC at the time, and Mitch was going to USC, and Bear Bryant from Alabama was there. So Bear Bryant and John McKay are just bullshitting. And John McKay says to Bear Bryant, "Hey, I got this kid from Alabama who's at Eastern Arizona Junior College who's coming to USC." And Bear Bryant goes, "Well, what's his name?" And he goes, "John Mitchell." So Bear Bryant phones somebody or whoever, and they call every John Mitchell, every last name Mitchell in the phone book. I'm not I'm sitting behind the green screen or whatever it is, and I'm like, "Are you fucking serious? Like, is that really?" And Mitch is like, "Yeah." So Bear Bryant called every
times were a little different back then.
He called every Mitchell or John Mitchell in the phone book, and he finally got to my father, and then the rest is history. But the cool thing about that is, in Mitch's first game at Alabama, they played at the Coliseum.
No way.
Yes, and on the first play, Mitch played special teams, and on the first play, he made the tackle.
Unbelievable.
The year before that, the story goes that okay, it's Alabama, and it's segregated at the time. Late 60s, and Bryant wanted to bring in black players, but the university wouldn't let him. So he invited USC to come and play in Tuscaloosa, and they kicked the shit out of the Crimson Tide by virtue of the fact that there was a black fullback whose name escapes me right now, who just trounced on him. He had almost 200 yards rushing.
Was it Sam Cunningham or something like that?
Something like that. I'd have to look back. I saw a documentary a while ago. Anyway, yeah. And the university, lo and behold, came around to going ahead and letting Coach Bryant add some black players to his roster. And the first one was John Mitchell, who was an Alabama native. And that was a big selling point. An Alabama kid going to Alabama who happened to be black.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about the guy. I mean, all these years being a fan, being as close to the team as we can get sometimes, I've never heard a bad word about him, and I worry a little bit because, Flores is gone. Granted, he was there just a year. I get it. But Mitchell provided that very heavy veteran senior type presence that you like to have around. And you wonder if they're going to try to replace him with something like that. I don't know. I have no idea. And I'd like to welcome Ian into the show. Ian was putting work before this show tonight, which is it's probably going to cost you.
Get your priorities straight, Ian.
Priority problem, clearly.
I
Ian,
made it though. Not like Ben, who had to do laundry one night and couldn't make it.
It's true.
So anyway,
I was going to Mexico, man. I was busy.
That's right.
Mexico. Well, James Taylor for y'all.
James Taylor. That's right. Again, we've already heard Keith Sweat tonight, And now a James Taylor reference.
And Casey is not even. He's still Casey. Casey's not even in the building yet. Okay, he's coming.
What was I forget my agenda all of a sudden. There was one other thing if we're done talking about Coach Mitchell. But yeah, go ahead, Scarp.
Mitch is wonderful. Three quick things. Mitch was always in the gym in the morning. Like if Mitch wasn't in the gym in the morning, he either like you knew something was up. He was either out of town, he was whatever. And you always knew he was in the gym because once you open the doors to go to the back, as soon as you'd open the doors, you'd hear like Soul Town blasting on Sirius XM. And he would sing and shit. And every day he'd be like, "Let's go, baby." Like he was just. And then two things. I don't remember what year it was at training camp, but this player failed the run test and it was terrible. And like
Casey Hampton.
No. I think Casey got grandfathered and he didn't have to do it.
No, it was 2007. Was it 7 or was it?
That might have been 10? That might have been
what was the year? What was the year that Tomlin put Casey on the PUP list? Was it 10?
Was probably.
You put him on the PUP list, and he didn't let him practice for a few weeks till he got into shape.
I do recall that, but I don't remember the year. Yeah.
All right. All right. So this player, whatever, he just completely botched. It was terrible. It was a terrible performance. The performance was below the line. And looking back on it, like we probably shouldn't have laughed, but like, the player's literally like laying on the ground, like he's fine, but he's just catching his breath, and like trainers are making sure he's okay. And I mean, shit, from St. Vincent College, you could have been in Greensburg and heard Mitch say, "Ain't gonna make any money down there, baby." I don't know why that always sticks with me. And then the second one was 2015 at Cincinnati, the game Andy Dalton broke his thumb, which ultimately led to AJ McCarron starting that playoff game. But Stephon Tuitt picked off a pass on that first drive. The play.
That was the play he broke his
thumb. Yeah.
He's trying to make a tackle, which was the dumbest thing ever. But anyway, Stephon Tuitt comes over to the sideline, and I mean, he is fired up. The whole defensive line is fired up. And Mitch is casual as could be. He's got like the Surface Pro. He's just walking. He goes, "Make one damn play, think you're all damn pro." And I will never forget that as long as I live. Because I mean, it was actually really really good play. Like, that defensive line was all over him, and like that just like Mitch, he was so honest. Like he didn't give a shit who you were, what round pick you were. I mean, again, we're going back to the days when if you were drafted on defense, you had to wait to actually play, let alone start.
It's true. Yeah.
Guys like Cam didn't even play most of their first year.
No, you're right.
Anyway,
you're right. That was the
cheers
era.
to Mitch.
Yeah,
Cam sat behind Ziggy fucking Hood for a year and a half.
God,
year and a half.
Imagine that now, looking back at that.
Weight room strong.
Shit. Unbelievable. Hey, just a reminder, we're proud to be part of the Pigskin Podcast Network and associated with our very good friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and sign up with code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 in free bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA with code TPPN.
Anyone else entertained by Steel Dad's readers?
Hey, you know what? I can do it without them, but it would be like this. You know,
man, we got to keep the lights on.
Right, exactly. You know, it's like I get these babies. These are like $1 at the dollar store. So it's
$1?
Oh yeah, they're great, man. I get like 10 of them, and so I leave them all over the house. Yeah, so now I know where they are.
Your wife probably loves that shit.
What's that?
I said your wife probably loves that shit.
Oh, you know her too well. Yeah, got that right. Jesus Christ. What else? Anything
I tell
else?
you, I can't get no respect.
I can't get no respect. Just take the trash out. I take myself out. Any other Steelers related items this week?
Well, you know, we have free agency. We have the draft. We got a whole bunch of shit coming up.
I do want to mention the worst tweet I've seen in a long time.
Oh, okay. Which one?
Well, there's many, always. But how about a Fresca? Jason Smith, he's done late night ESPN radio for years. Suggested this week that the best
David
landing
Carr.
spot for Derek Carr is Pittsburgh.
Derek Carr, excuse me, yes.
Because the Steelers aren't going anywhere with Kenny Pickett.
Ian, you should take this.
Yeah, Ian. So I'm just going to segue that over to you because you've made this comparison for a long time, and well, anyway, I'll shut up.
So has Ben, but
yeah,
why should we spend $20 million to sign Derek Carr when we have the younger version of Derek Carr already on the roster?
Yeah, well, let's talk about Derek Carr's record and stats in cold weather.
Yeah. Derek Carr is not coming to Pittsburgh.
Let's hope he's not. Let's hope not. I mean, I don't see them signing a Derek Carr to back up. Their first round pick, who is their incumbent starter.
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised.
Kenny Pickett and Derek Carr had the same quarterback rating as rookies.
Say that again.
I said Kenny Pickett and Derek Carr had the exact same quarterback rating as rookies.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
shocking.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I think what's going to happen is, Carr has already visited New Orleans.
Yeah,
and sat down and talked with him.
Yeah,
that's where he's going to end up. I don't know if he's going to make the same kind of money, but
you couldn't ask for a better. Listen, you play in a dome. You're in a fucking Brady's gone. That division is poop.
It is.
You don't have You don't have to see Mahomes or Herbert or Broncos country. Let's ride. You know,
he should be playing in a dome or warm weather stadiums.
Yes.
And his division is pretty warm weather. If he goes to the NFC South, two of the teams playing domes. It really is a better situation for him than going to some cold weather team in the Northeast.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
I'll say about Derek Carr, and this remains to be seen about Kenny, but Derek Carr was an MVP finalist the year that he broke his leg, and
right before the playoffs,
and they were good that year. And if you want to talk about the Raiders are trash, but the Raiders are also a little bit cursed in a way.
A little bit.
I don't know if we'll ever see Kenny Pickett in a top 3 MVP finisher.
It depends on what the Steelers do with the line. Again, I'm going to come back to that. Derek Carr had a great line that year. They gave him time. If you give an NFL quarterback time, Andy fucking Dalton was a second team All-Pro one year because he had a great line.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a good line and you're an NFL quarterback, you can pick defenses apart. You just have to have time. Look at Brady late in his career in New England. The guy was back there. He had enough time to call and order a pizza for after the fucking game before he threw the goddamn ball. You
think Brady likes pineapple on his pizza?
I really hope not.
Speaking of that, did you see the story about Joe Montana? Where he picked up the
pizza.
No. Joe walked over to the sideline once after coming off the field, and back then they had the sideline phones that looked just like our house phones. And he picked it up. He dialed 9 in his home number and actually called his wife during the game. And she's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "I just thought right in the middle of the game." That's cool.
That's a fucking boss move, right?
Yeah, that's Joe Cool. That's just him. Anyway, I digress.
No, that is cool.
What about Andy Dalton? Burner suggesting Andy Dalton as a potential backup for Kenny. What do you think?
No.
Okay.
Well, wait. Let me say this.
I actually don't. I like that.
I don't hate it.
Andy Dalton for $2 million or under. Sign me up.
Yeah. Actually, Andy Dalton for 3.5 or under, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
But Andy Dalton's commanding $6-7 million right now.
Yeah, not for that.
No fucking way.
I'd have to go dig it up, but I know we poke fun at Andy Dalton because he was a Bengal, but Andy Dalton is actually an elite company when it comes to first 5 or 6 seasons with this many passing yards and this many touchdowns.
Dalton's bright.
He was not some
AJ Green, but
Dalton's bright. No, he really is. He's an overachiever. He's less talented than
he also had AJ Green. What fucking point do we not make that for the Steelers? Ben didn't have a receiver.
No, you're right. I'm pulling your chain, right?
Listen. Hold on.
I came in late, so I got to be strong tonight.
But I will say this.
Before you came on, Ben and I were agreeing on everything, so I need to fucking switch this shit up right now. Like,
don't worry. Really. Don't worry. We'll do the blitzies later, and we can argue about that. But aside from Antonio Brown, every receiver that left the Steelers playing with Ben looked worse after the fact. All of them, without exception.
AB's production dropped in half after he left.
Oh, AB's production did drop.
Yeah.
But he was still obviously very talented after he left.
I will not disagree with that. But yes, his production dropped in half.
Yeah, he didn't have a guy who could throw that ridiculous deep out
like
he had with Ben. I mean, those guys for 3 or 4 years, Jesus Christ, that was unstoppable. Yeah. It didn't matter. You could have him triple covered. It didn't matter. They'd still complete that fucking pass. And it was just like, you just go, God, again. These fucking guys, how, God, that deep out over and over and over. Ben would just throw it up. He'd be like, fuck it. He's down there someplace.
No, you're right.
But you got to have a quarterback that can throw that.
Yeah. Gentlemen, should we get into the blitzies?
Why the hell not?
Why not? It's time for the blitzies.
Did you guys actually do any prep for this?
Not at all. Actually, I did.
Oh, man, I got a list. Fuck, whatever.
I did graphics.
Oh.
Yeah. Look at this, boys and girls. We have the 2023.
You can't even see my face. The DraftKings ad's over it.
Oh, well, that's what you get for coming late, asshole.
Wow.
Right.
Jesus, it's cold.
I know.
I deserve that. It's okay.
Sorry. The 2023 Blitzie Awards. So we came up with these many years ago, and we try to do them at the end of each year. Some of these awards are going to be very straightforward, folks, and some of them, a little out of left field probably. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and move to the next slide, which is our most valuable player of 2023. And Ian, since you are Mr. Blitzy, I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, look, you can't even see my middle finger behind the DraftKings ad. I'm going to go with Minkah Fitzpatrick, tied for the league lead in interceptions, as my most valuable player for the Steelers.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Brian?
Agreed. Ian got it right. The Steelers team voted on it. They got it right. And yes, Minkah is the MVP.
And Ben?
I'm going to go with TJ Watt, actually. And
oh boy,
he didn't have a great year. He did not. But after he returned, the defense was so much fucking better. I mean, way better. The difference.
They played some really good quarterbacks.
That's true. They didn't play great quarterbacks.
Yeah, right,
but they did play a lot better as a unit after he came back. Much fucking better.
They are so much better when he's on the field.
One Alex Highsmith about tripled his stats after TJ came back.
Yeah. Highsmith considered Watt for the same reason, but I will also go with Fitzpatrick. I think he was able to be a much more dynamic type player that we're used to seeing, because last year, as we know, he spent most of his time tackling running backs that got through the first and second level. So he'll be my guy. That takes us to offensive player of the year, and that's offensive meaning good, not offensive like
not
they
offensive.
stunk.
Gross.
The best offensive player of the year. Ryan, we'll go with you first.
Let's give it up for Naj. 673 yards after the bye, 361 before the bye, pretty much doubled his output after the bye. And as much as Kenny Pickett came on in that second half, Najee pretty much won that Raiders game. Had a big night against Baltimore as well. And it all started with a huge game against the New Orleans Saints. I think he set the tone in every game after that after the bye. Not Trent Richardson 2.0, but Najee Harris is the Steelers offensive player of the year.
Wow. Yeah. Ben, what do you got?
Same.
Also
Najee.
God damn it, I hate this game.
Yeah, so do I. Najee, after he got healthy, was the centerpiece on the offense. Yes, The offensive line improved as the year went on.
Yeah.
They played better. They blocked better. But Najee got better. His quickness came back. His lateral quickness in particular came back. And it wasn't just that he had big games. It was that his teammates obviously believed in him and gave him that spark. It gave them that little spark to move forward and gave them some momentum when they came into games because they believed in what they were trying to do, at least with the running game.
Ian.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you guys.
Right.
My offensive player of the year is James Daniels.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say Mason Cole. I really did.
No, James Daniels, the only player on the line who is not credited with allowing a sack all year. And for as bad as that line was, and they did come together later, but only 3 penalties for 25 yards and no sacks allowed. Very good free agent signing. Kind of became the anchor of the offensive line, and especially late in the year, kind of took on that Ramon Foster role of, calling out some of the protections, slapping Mason Cole on the side and telling him when the snap was
silent
happening.
count, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So I'm going with James Daniels as my offensive player of the year.
That's a solid choice.
Yeah, I think it is too. It's not as good, however, as mine, which is Mr. Gunnar Olszewski. No,
fuck you.
I will also go with Najee. I think, man, when Najee turned the corner after the bye,
I'm really surprised nobody picked Pickett.
Well, we'll see.
He shouldn't even been rookie of the year. Whatever.
Well, let's just move on to the next thing. What do we got here? And now we are on to. Why didn't that switch? There we go.
Mark doesn't know how to work PowerPoint.
Oh, I did. What happened?
One more.
Okay, so that got on there twice. It's supposed to be defensive player of the year.
Oh.
And we'll start with Ben this time.
Again, I'm going to go with TJ Watt.
TJ Watt. Okay.
No. I'm sorry. I had Cam. Cam had a big year again at 33, which is a big fucking deal. That's huge. All right. And he's a stand-up guy and he's a captain and yada, yada, yada. But for the 7 games that Watt did not play, it felt like he kept that unit together and kept them focused on the task at hand. And they did not have a great time or put up a great record during that period. Mm-hmm. But it was some pretty shitty circumstances. When your best defender goes down and your depth on your squad is terrible. Right. Let's be frank. It puts a big hole in the unit, and he kept them together. So I'm gonna give him props for that.
I like it. Ian.
Yeah, so I went with Minka as the most valuable player, which I think he was, and I'm actually going with a different player at the same position for my defensive player of the year is Terrell Edmonds, who was incredibly solid all year, and really paid off as a 1-year signing deal to bring him back. He really outperformed that contract, and for a guy who I ragged on for a lot of the first few years of his career, really impressed me this year. And Cam had a great year, and Minko I think was the most valuable, but I think overall Terrell Edmonds really was a solid factor in that unit all year.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice pick. I don't know. I personally didn't go with him at MVP, but I can certainly understand the argument because of what he allows everybody else on that defense to do. Scarps, who's your defensive guy?
I'm going to throw a little curveball here, and I'm going to talk about my guy that didn't need no practice, Mr. Larry Ogunjobi.
Oh, yeah.
Larry Ogunjobi was a consistent force all season long. Whatever the Steelers thought they were going to get from him, I think he doubled that, and he probably played himself into a long-term, multi-year contract with guaranteed money elsewhere, and I have no problem with a guy trying to get some bread. He was efficient. He was available, and that's all that matters, and that is, my opinion, one of the underrated losses that might happen this season with him going somewhere else.
Let's hope not.
I think, obviously Cam Sutton, Terrell Edmonds are tops of that free agent thing, but I think Ogunjobi's the one that is going to be the most interesting to me in terms of how that plays out, if it does at all.
Pictures into this?
What's that?
I don't know what.
I don't know. Anyway, my pick, very simply, if I go with him as MVP, then I'm going to go with Minka as the Defensive Player of the Year as well. Period. End of report. And let's see here. Next, we have Rookie of the Year. This is overall Rookie of the Year, and I think I'm back to the beginning here. So, Ian, go ahead and kick us off. What do you got for Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kenny Pickett. I debated Pickett versus George Pickens for a while.
But why? Why are you going to go with Kenny Pickett?
I'm going with Kenny Pickett because of the game-winning drives at the end of the season. I mean,
I can agree with that.
When the game was on the line and he needed to perform down the stretch, he really did, and you really saw the growth in his game.
Yep.
He had that opportunity against Miami. He had the opportunity against the Jets. In 2 out of the first 4 games he played, threw interceptions in both of those. But then as the season went on, when he needed to make a play, he was able to do it. I went on the record on this show after the season ended saying that, I don't know if Kenny is the 10-year long-term solution yet, but he showed me enough that he is without a doubt the starter going into next year.
I agree.
Yes, Kenny is my Rookie of the Year.
Love it.
Fair.
Scarps. Scarps, we've lost him.
Scarps, you're on mute there, buddy.
Son of a bitch.
Somebody cut him off.
I mean, we've only been doing virtual for like 3 years now. I thought I would get it right virtual. No, I'm going with George Pickens. And Kenny Pickett is definitely worthy. I know I was just joking earlier, but Kenny Pickett was definitely worthy. But George Pickens, didn't matter who was throwing in the ball. Yeah, he had a couple drops, but he was second in yards on the team. He was first in yards per reception. And to steal a line from Steelers Twitter, he's got that dog in him.
He is him.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's really good though, and if he can mature, which I think he will, and we've talked about this on the show. They need to get a DHB or a Jericho Cotchery in the house to help with that. But
please,
Pickens is really Pickens is. I didn't have doubts about him as a player. I had doubts about his character
and maturity.
He didn't necessarily disappoint me on that. I mean, he had his moments, but I mean, rookies fuck up. But Pickens is a really good football player, and he's definitely the number 1 wide receiver.
I would tend to agree with that, which I really hate the fact.
Ben, is he also your Rookie of the Year?
No. Kenny Pickett is for pushing Mason Rudolph into obscurity because he sucks donkey balls. So fucking sick of that shit.
I ain't even gonna fight you on it. That was you sold that. I appreciate you.
That was very nice. Well set up there. I will go with Kenny Pickens as my Rookie of the Year. I'm just going to give Kenny Pickens. Yeah. I think they're both deserving. They both did a little bit of everything. I'm just going to give it to both.
It kind of reminds me of Casey Kasem doing Danger Zone that one night. That was great. That was fantastic.
I like that. Let's see. Our next one, Assistant Coach of the Year. Let's have
me. I'll do it.
Yeah, Ben's going to start.
Pat Meyer.
Okay.
It's not even close.
All right.
Everybody's going to say Pat Meyer. And we all had doubts about Mr. Meyer coming in. We looked at his track record, the coach and the teams that he coached. And early on in the season, we were like, what the fuck? Yep. This line sucks. This guy's a dick. What the hell? Why did they hire him? And then as the season went on, they actually became a scotch better than average by the end of the year.
Agreed.
So I'm looking forward to next season. Hopefully seeing the majority of this line coming back together. Maybe some improvement on the left side, but the majority of the line coming back together and playing as a unit. One more offseason under this guy, and hopefully an even more improved unit.
Scarps, what do you got? Assistant Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I actually
Burner. It's tequila.
I actually didn't know this was a category, so I'm not prepared. So I'm gonna go with
Coach Mitch.
No, I'm gonna go with mustache guy that sits next to Matt Canada in the booth. I don't know who he is or what he does, but he just looks like he's just as qualified as Canada to be in the booth. So
that's true.
Cheers.
I believe that's Ted Lasso's brother, Phil Lasso.
I think that really is. This is the best presentation we've seen thus far this evening.
Matt Tom Show, I think is his name. He's a quality control coach.
You're correct.
Quality control, which is not the Janet Jackson song, but it's
whatever. Mustache guy who sits next to Matt Canada. That's great. That should be an award all by itself.
Ian, your choice for assistant coach of the year.
I thought we were joking about that. I didn't know that was a real one.
Oh no, that's great. I love it.
I look like Wilson from Home Improvement, like with just my eyes peeking out above this
which is
logo
fantastic. I got a screenshot of it earlier.
I know. All right, so I agree that Pat Meyer was fantastic, but I'm gonna go with Brian Flores because
fair.
Going back to my rookie of the year pick in Kenny Pickett, Brian Flores helped a guy on the other side of the ball in Kenny Pickett improve his game.
You cannot argue with that.
I'm going with Brian Flores as my assistant coach of the year.
A little teaser.
Oh, look, Ben dropped off. You can see
no!
A little teaser. There might be a little homage to that knowledge later in the show.
Oh, boy. I think we may have just got a little insight into one Mr. Casey Kasem. Ben's back and he's hiding behind the DraftKings logo. Uh-oh. Are you there?
Oh shit, you're on mute now.
No, I'm not on mute.
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, I just wanted to swatch places with you.
Obviously Meyer would probably be my pick, and the other guy I'll give a little bit of a shout out to is Carl Dunbar, because he had to kind of rotate a lot of different guys in there. Obviously, Cam was the steady, but you had Ogunjobi that was hurt on and off. Loudermilk never really developed this year, I think, the way a lot of us thought he would. They used DeMarvin Leal and a number of different ways.
They
so
deactivated
I think he was worthy.
Loudermilk. And I think it's not a bad choice there, Mark. I
appreciate that.
Yeah. One note about Larry Ogunjobi, since we're talking about him and it's coming up. I think the one thing, and I think I mentioned this before, that benefits the Steelers this year in Ogunjobi potentially not leaving is the fact that most weeks he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday.
Right.
And teams are going to look at that and be like, yeah, this guy isn't healthy. You know, he's one injury away from not playing for us. Maybe we shouldn't sign him. Where the Steelers are going to go, we have some familiarity with him. We like him. Maybe we offer him the same kind of a deal. He'll come back, $8 million. You know, for a productive defensive lineman, that's not a lot of money.
Well, and Berner just asked this question, you know, what's he going to command? And I think you guys are hitting it on the head. You look at the reason we were even able to get him is because an injury kept him from that huge contract in Chicago.
Right. I don't think he's going to be a first wave free agent. I think that he'll be in the second wave someplace, and hopefully the Steelers will be able to sign him.
I would agree with that. I'm not going to throw out a number just because I don't know what that could look like just yet, but
I have no idea. I mean, and all those projections you see, you take a look at Spotrac or Over the Cap, and they try and project what a player is going to command. I'm sorry, they're bullshit, because basically what they're doing is they're looking at the way a player performed before he got a contract and what he's done since, and It's all speculative. They're paying guys based upon potential. And when someone has an injury track record, that reduces their price. Because you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to become a factor and the guy's not going to be able to play.
Yep. Got it.
Here's a question, though. Would you rather have Larry Ogunjobi or Javon Hargrave back?
Javon Hargrave is going to cost.
He's going to cost too much.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm just saying he's going to be a free agent.
Javon Hargrave's not coming back. He's probably not coming back to Philly either.
He ain't coming back.
No, he's going to get a nice payday, and more power to him. He deserves it.
I'd rather have Hargrave, but he's not coming back.
Right. Yeah, I'd say.
I was just looking at the free agents.
The Jonathan Scott Award is noted for
that's a really hard one, honestly, because they didn't have a lot of bad free agents this year.
Jonathan Scott Award goes to the free agent signing that, well, I guess we should say didn't pan out. Although he wasn't a free agent, most of us or all of us would say, yeah, the whole William Jackson trade thing, that certainly sucked. But
they didn't give anything out for it. They didn't do anything.
He wasn't a free agent. So who was the worst free agent signing this year?
I know who it was.
Akella Witherspoon.
No, he was last year.
He was last year
for him, not
right. Scarps, what do you got, man?
Akella Witherspoon was a restricted free agent. They still re-signed him.
They re-signed him. He was their own guy. He wasn't an addition.
Yeah, I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Matters.
He didn't.
Judges?
He didn't.
Yes. Okay, we allow it.
He didn't have to. They didn't have to re-sign him.
Right.
He was pending.
And I did not. Describe that this would have to be a free agent from one of the other 31 teams. So your answer will be allowed, right?
I'll allow it.
Yes, the judges have ruled. Judges have ruled. Ian, your free agent that didn't quite work out.
Oh man, I had two. I was hoping Ben would go and pick one of the ones that I had.
I got two also,
all
right. I'm gonna go with the one that actually played and cost us a game in Gunnar Olszewski, and got surpassed by Steven Sims as the kick returner, and really was only used as a blocker on offense after. And I know, preseason doesn't tell you everything, but in the preseason I saw him and I was like, this guy could actually be an okay slot receiver.
Same.
And
I
then
fell for it.
just nothing. So yeah, I'm going with Gunnar Olszewski, but I seriously consider Jeremy McNichols because they signed him and we're like, oh yeah, he backed up.
Very nice. I forgot about him.
He was in Tennessee. He was kind of that third down scat back kind of guy. Then he got hurt his first day in camp and never did anything. So he was my second choice, but Olszewski
was where I was going to go with it too. Now I had to pick another one. So
not necessarily because I was going to
actually I do. I know. I'm going to go with Mitch Trubisky.
That's a good one.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Hello.
Given his price tag and as tentative as he played when he was the starter, he cost us some games too. If he had just come in and played gutsy like he did when he was the backup and he was like, fuck it, I got nothing to lose anyway, they would have won some more games.
I feel like they did him dirty.
They did him a little dirty.
Yeah.
But only because they didn't know they were going to be able to get a quarterback in the first round.
Nope. And I wasn't even talking about that. I truly believe that they told him, don't make mistakes, don't take risks. And for Mitch, that was just like saying, it does not compute. He had no idea what to do when he was told that. And to me, that's just really shitty coaching.
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know. I mean, what I can tell you is he regrets coming to Pittsburgh.
1,000,000%.
I regret the fact that the Steelers signed him.
Well, and I have a question about that actually, because the other place he was looking at was the Giants, and Daniel Jones played really well this year. I mean, if he had gone to the Giants, he wouldn't have played at all.
Yeah. No, that's because that's where Dable went there, which was his OC in Buffalo.
Yeah, at least he put something on film this year.
Something.
Yeah. Well, Olszewski was going to be my guy, so I
got to wonder if the guy is going to come back now because, obviously he hasn't asked for a trade, but he's been public about the fact that he regrets the fact that he signed in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I can't say I blame him. I mean, I don't know. Our next is the Pleasant Surprise of the Year award.
Well, you didn't tell us about this.
Too bad. I
he did. I have it on my list.
He definitely told us about this.
He did not.
I'm going first on this one.
Talk to me, Steel Dad.
No, I get to go first on one of them, so I'm going on this one, and it's Jaylen Warren, and I don't even need to say anything else about it. It's Jaylen Warren.
My pick.
And see.
Okay, well, I have a better one than that.
Go ahead then, Ben. Fine.
Mason Cole. because when I watched his film,
he meant
when they signed him. Sorry?
Ben meant Mason Rudolph.
Mason held that
I
clipboard
did
really
not
well
mean
this
Mason
year.
Rudolph. Although I appreciate the fact that Mason Rudolph looked horrible in the preseason so that we didn't have to play him at all during the regular season. Mason Cole was a guy I did not think was going to be very good. And he was not great, but he was competent, okay, which was leaps and bounds better than his predecessor, Kendrick Green, who was not at all competent, would let someone slide right past his face a foot in front of him and not touch the guy. I don't understand how the fuck an offensive lineman can be that bad, but he is. So, yeah, Mason Cole for me is the biggest surprise.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
Biggest surprise of the year, and goddamn, I'm glad to be wrong about him.
Yeah, no, I was too. I'm really, really curious to see what the Steelers think overall of him, because obviously if they don't draft a center, then they're pretty high on him. So,
well, I mean, honestly, you could play him at guard if you needed to.
Yeah,
so,
he's got the capability.
My feeling is if you come across a center, and the center class isn't great, but if you come across a center that is a really good value at that pick, you take him, and you maybe you play him at center, maybe you play him at guard. But that's the other thing with Cole is he's got position flexibility where you can just play him at guard. And it's not like Kevin Dotson had a great year. Kevin Dotson did not have a great year at all. So,
let's see, where do I got to go? Scarps.
Jennifer, great minds think alike. My biggest surprise this year is Connor Hayward. And
Hayward's hands.
I joked on the show and laughed on the show about the Steelers love signing siblings. And I didn't want them because I thought that he was very, very raw, and this would be nothing more than a pick that's charity. And I was wrong, and I should have known better because obviously his brother's Cam, his dad's Craig Ironhead, but his hands are much better than I anticipated. That jet sweep, which Canada trolled all of us with. Matt Canada, if you're watching, every time, every once in a while, the fucking blind squirrel.
Hey, man.
The blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, Matt Canada, that jet sweep to steal the Raiders game. But Connor Hayward was absolutely much better than I anticipated. And he could end up being a very nice, I don't want to say steal, but very nice steal for a 6th round pick.
I mean, who really expected Connor Hayward to get a jet sweep in any game ever?
No, that was his best call of the entire season.
You may as well have run a jet sweep with Kevin fucking Dotson. I mean, seriously. I mean, I never saw that shit coming. I was like, what? Who is that? Oh.
You think Kenny?
Wow.
You think in the huddle, Kenny was like, hey, Zach, we're not going to throw a shitty screen to you. We're actually going to do a jet sweep to you, Connor. And he was like, for real?
Oh, shit. Ian, who's your surprise of the year?
I was all prepared to go with Jalen Warren, but because you took that one, I will. That's probably my vote, but I'm going to just give a shout out to Alex Highsmith he had 8 career sacks in 2 years before this season and had 14.5 this year.
Yeah.
Really stepped up his game. Really nice year for Highsmith. So I'd say, Jalen Warren was definitely the come out of nowhere surprise, but I think as far as exceeding expectations, I didn't see Highsmith as a double-digit sack guy. I saw him as like a 8.5, maybe one sack every couple games, but to get to 14.5 was really impressive. So I'm gonna go with Highsmith.
Yeah, no.
Hey, Burner, Ryan Switzer is leaps and bounds better than Gunnar Olszewski.
For God's sakes,
he's way better than Gunnar Olszewski, who sucks donkey balls.
Our next category is play of the year. The best single play of the year. And Scarps, we'll start with you.
Got it.
Let's go all the way back to week 1.
Really?
All the way back to week 1 when Jamar Chase tied the game and Minkah Fitzpatrick blocked the extra point. And I'm telling you this right now. That game is over. If their long snapper does not get hurt, that game is over. The Steelers are 0-1, and I don't want to predict the rest of the season, but they're likely don't have anything to play for, and we have no idea where they would ended up in this draft order. So Minkah, and I've been critical of Minkah on the show. I think that he's been fortunate to be around the ball at the best times. But Minkah is legit.
He's in position.
Minkah is legit. He does it. Not everybody gets it. No, everybody messes up, but Minkah, that play to me was just unbelievable, because even though extra points aren't routine anymore because they're further back, that was literally a game that the Steelers normally lose over the last couple years, and they actually won it. And 1-0 is better than 0-1.
Love it. I think it's a great call. Ben, best play of the year.
Going to go back to week 6. And it's for one reason. The Steelers are playing the Tampa Bay Tom Brady's in Pittsburgh. And Mitch Trubisky came in for a concussed Kenny Pickett and threw a touchdown pass to one Chase Claypool in the fourth quarter and made the score 20-12.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that moment or the play even. It's the fact that the fan club behind me erupted in a fuck Tom Brady cheer. And I'll just go ahead and reenact that for you. Fuck Tom Brady. And they, repeat it and repeat it. And after years of having that fucker fucking torture us over and over and over and over
way
again.
Too many times.
Yeah, even though it was in the twilight of his career.
I was going to say, he was only 800 years old.
I don't care.
I don't care. He was only 57 years old, but he still came out and was playing. He was still playing, and we got that fucker and made him look bad at home. And yeah, the fans being around me made the game that much more enjoyable. For me, that was the play of the game. The play of the year, excuse me.
Love it. Awesome. Ian.
I'm going to go with Kenny Pickett to George Pickens to beat the Raiders. I've told this story on the show. That was Christmas Eve night. Yep. My 2 oldest boys were serving at midnight mass at our church.
Yes,
and I had to have them at church at 11 o'clock to get ready for midnight mass. So I dropped them off, and I'm sitting there in my car in the church parking lot watching the end of the game on my phone because there was 2 minutes left when we hit the 2-minute warning, and I was like, I got to leave the house now. And so I made it basically there, during the 2-minute warning. I might have missed a play or two. So I'm watching the game in a church parking lot in my car, and Pickett throws that pass to Pickens, and I'm there screaming in my car, pumping my fist. So some of it, like Ben's play, yes, it was a great play. It won the game for us.
Yeah.
But some of it was just like the moment that I experienced of like, I'm in a church parking lot before midnight mass on Christmas Eve, watching this game on my phone. So yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, no, it was a great moment. Didn't matter where you were. I remember you telling us that. That was good.
Joe Nicholas was there for the fuck Tom Brady cheer.
Yeah, was it? He wasn't just there. I bet you he was part of it.
He was there, and he was partaking in the cheer. We all were. It was fantastic. There were lots of those cheers during that game, but the one at the end was the best one.
Yeah, because the last time you're probably going to be able to do it too.
Ever.
Well, until he calls a Steelers game.
Yeah, I was really hoping he'd go play for the Raiders this year at 58 years old.
That would have been cool, wouldn't it?
Because I'm going to that game.
Yeah.
And being able to lead Steelers fans in a cheer of fuck Tom Brady in the Raiders stadium when he's a Raiders quarterback would have been fantastic. But alas, he denied me that right.
So my play of the year is more of an emotional heartstrings tugger, if you will.
Oh, really?
The TD pass to Connor Hayward in Atlanta.
That's a good one.
It was his first TD. Dad played in Atlanta. You could see the emotion on Cam's face. It was just one of those cool moments for me why you watch sports. Sometimes why we're Steelers fans, because family's a big part of Steelers football. So that was for me. Obviously, the ones you guys chose were right up there too, and there were some other great ones, obviously. But when you go 9-8, there were some bad ones too.
No,
yeah,
really?
Believe it or not, that existed. Worst social media user Steelers category. Okay, so this is the Steelers player who really sucks at social media.
Does Matt Canada have a social media account?
I don't believe he does, but he would probably do jet sweeps on it all the time. Ben, I'll start with you.
Fuck, I don't know.
Ian, I'll start with you.
The obvious choice
Devin
is Devin Bush. Devin Bush is the obvious choice. The guy's a dick. He's a fucking crybaby. Seems like a finger pointer. Not at all what they thought they were going to get when they drafted him. Not just physically, but mentally. His attitude is questionable at best. Yeah.
Well, and also talking about like playing for other coaches while you're technically still under contract during the playoffs.
Yeah, not technically. You're under contract.
Yeah, just a shit move.
Yeah, I want to leave. Okay, fuck you. Bye.
Yeah.
Burner
with the haymaker.
I missed it. What do you
say?
It
looks so good in a McDonald's uniform.
Actually, do we have other categories, or is this the last one?
I think we've got more.
Well, I actually have two more. I missed.
Okay.
I don't know why disappointment. Biggest disappointment was supposed to get in there.
All right,
and it didn't.
Okay, and then the other one is.
Well, you haven't seen it yet.
Okay, fine. Okay, all right. So my worst Steelers social media user is actually
here we go.
Is Deontay Johnson.
That's
because
fair.
He tweets the most cryptic shit. He'll be like, "Stay tuned," and like everybody, like, "What the fuck? What's he mean?" Anyway, so yeah, Deontay Johnson, like, he annoys me on social.
Yeah, I get it. Ian, did you have a worst social?
No, mine was Devin Bush.
Oh, that's
for
right.
the playoff thing.
Yeah. I didn't really find anybody to be horrible, but I agree with Scarps a little bit. DJ got on social media sometimes and just it's like, dude, just stay off.
Stay tuned.
Go away.
Stay tuned for what, dickhead?
And
Lions don't listen to the opinion of sheep.
Here is the final award.
Fucking insightful, DJ.
Final award for this year. Biggest asshole on SCB Podcast, and why has it been?
Oh, that's rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Embrace it, man.
Rude. I'm not the biggest asshole in this podcast.
You know who actually did that slide? Mason Rudolph.
It's probably true. True.
Something like that. Anyway, that kind of wraps up our Blitzies for this year. And believe me, we'll end. Oh, Bozic just jumped in. Oh, that dog, man. Anyway, we'll.
That's just rude, Dan. Fuck you.
Time to start focusing on the draft a little bit, gentlemen. I've got previews on tackles, offensive guards and centers, and tight ends, and the wide receivers will be going up probably tomorrow. So we've
you
got
have
all
done
that
a lot
coming
more
up.
draft prep than I have.
Well, that's okay. It's been fun. It's been fun to watch these guys, and that's a great thing about draft prep is there's a lot of them that you know, and then there's some that you don't know, and it's fun to watch those guys. Because I'm telling you right now, there's some dudes there that could be really, really interesting.
I'm telling you guys right now, the Steelers are not going to take a slot wide receiver because Calvin Austin's going to be the greatest thing ever. That's sarcasm for you people who can't see my face.
We will save that
Wilson.
for another show as we on the pod, off the pod at B. What is he?
That's just rude, Dan. That's just fucking rude. Rude.
Burner said, if we draft Joey Porter Jr. in the first, I'll be chucking milk and I'm lactose intolerant.
All right, here's the deal. We have to say this right now. If we draft Joey Porter Jr., we need to do a live show on draft night. But
we
also,
will be.
Oh, we will always do.
You need to send Burner a link so he can actually chug it live on the show when we draft Joey Porter.
Dude, that's not true because Burner eats fucking pizza and it has cheese on it. He takes pictures of it and posts it online, so he can't possibly be lactose intolerant.
Did you see the pizza he had tonight?
I saw the pizza he had yesterday. It had some fucking pineapple on it. I was like, dude, what a dick. That just makes you an asshole.
You're all fucking haters, man. Pineapple's good on pizza.
Fuck you, Ryan.
Pineapple
on pizza is an abomination.
Ben, how do you feel about barbecue chicken pizza?
It's all right.
Yeah. Okay. So instead of red sauce, you have a barbecue chicken
sauce.
Pizza, and throw some fucking pineapple on it.
It's not really a fucking pizza anymore. No, it's not. What the fuck? Why would you even do that? Why? Nah.
Why you put fucking chicken on pizza?
I don't know.
Well, coming up next week, we'll be talking more about pizza and what not to put on it and other things. Anyway, thanks everybody. I've got new koozies in. They arrived this week.
We're not doing Casey?
Out. Holy shit, I forgot Casey.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, get rid of the biggest asshole thing so we can do Casey.
Yeah, I'm the asshole now. Anyway.
It's actually Mark.
Let me turn it over to Mr. Casey.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you guys. When we did the show without Mark, I don't know who the biggest asshole on the show was. We were competing with each other. That was a tough show.
See?
That was a tough show. That was awesome.
Oh, Aaron chimes in.
I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, God damn. Fuck, that was off the rails.
Well, hey, I don't mind just coming in. I'll just start the show. You guys do it. Text me when it's over, and I'll,
just sit there and watch.
Shit.
We were like, hey, Mark.
Yes, Burner. I overtime is coming. It's coming. I've got
Blitzie for best show of the year is without a doubt when Mark's power went out. We did overtime for 3 fucking hours.
Nice to know how important I am to my own fucking podcast.
3 hours, 3-hour podcast and got drunk as hell. That was great.
We were so drunk.
Is Casey in the bullpen? Is he ready to roll?
Yeah, he's here.
All right.
Can we blow Casey up a little bit here so we can actually see him?
Casey's top 40. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me get rid of
God
that.
damn it. Thank you.
There we go. This is about to make a really inappropriate joke. Casey's Coast to Coast, American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was February 16th, 1984. Ryan for Pittsburgh writes, Dear Casey, normally I start off my letter with a parody of a famous tune, but this week I'm going to switch it up on you, Casey. I want to share a story about Def Leppard. You see, Def Leppard's drummer, Rick Allen, was in a severe car accident in December of 1984 in which he lost his left arm. He was only 21 years old at the time, and the band was on top of the world, enjoying their success off their breakthrough album, Pyromania, released in 1983. As you can imagine, losing an arm as a drummer would be quite challenging. But what transpired after is nothing short of a miracle, Casey. You see, a custom drum kit was built for Rick so that he could use his feet to play the parts his left arm would have before the accident. Def Leppard then went on to put together one of the best-selling albums of all time, Hysteria, released in 1987, which had more hits on it than Mel Blount had during the 1975 season. Why am I telling you all this, Casey? Well, I just brought knowledge to the table, and I'm just a casual fan. Matt Canada has been coaching for nearly 30 years and knows nothing about football.
Oh, wow.
Casey, love bites. Again, Casey, I cannot understand why Matt Canada still has a job with the Steelers as their offensive coordinator.
Wow.
Is it because he had a Hall of Fame statue for a quarterback in 2021? Is it because Canada actually punched Mitch Trubisky in the face and not Deontay Johnson? Or is it because Canada supposedly gave Tomlin's son a scholarship? We'll never know. I promise to go a little bit easier on Matt Canada in the future, but Casey, I just can't quit it. I want a new drug. Well, Ryan, perhaps you should talk to your psychiatrist and see if he can get you some black and gold placebos. In the meantime, you're in for a treat. Up 5 spots this week to number 21. Here's Huey Lewis and the News off their album Sports with I Want a New Drug.
Wow, all the Def Leppard references and it winds up on
Outstanding,
Huey Lewis.
yeah.
That's amazing.
God, I remember when the Joe Elliott thing happened. That was so sad. Ah, man.
Rick Allen, what? Joe Elliott, he's the lead singer.
Or I'm sorry, yeah. Joe Elliott's lead singer.
This has been a rough night here on SC.
Yes, it has. Holy shit. Holy shit. Okay. Anyway, thanks so much, everybody. And I did get the new koozies are in. For those of you that sent me addresses, I'll be kicking those out this weekend. So look for them in the mail next week. And they're very nice. We haven't done black since the very first run, so those are brand new. And got some new decals as well. So all kinds of fun stuff going on here at SCB. So make sure you check out the website, SteelCityBlitz.com. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and probably other places too. For these guys, this is Steel Dad signing off on the SCB Steelers Podcast, brought to you by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck.
Yes, they do.